Since last week, the Supreme Court has ruled on 4 emergency appeals filed by the Trump administration, involving deportations, the federal workforce, and teacher training grants. What is an emergency appeal? What questions are at issue in the cases? And what comes next? ASP explains. The cases were a part of what is known as the court's, quote, shadow docket, emergency applications handled quickly, without oral arguments, and with limited written briefings. These cases typically involve requests to pause or enforce policy while a legal challenge plays out in lower courts. On Monday, the court stopped a midnight deadline to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the U.S. The administration sent Garcia, a legal resident protected from deportation, to an El Salvador high-security prison following what the administration called, quote, an administrative error. Now, lower courts will rule on the administration's argument that U.S. courts lack jurisdiction to return Garcia. Also on Monday, the Supreme Court lifted a nationwide block on the removal of alleged members of a Venezuelan gang to an El Salvador prison using the Alien Enemies Act. The administration claimed it did not have to offer detainees a chance to appeal their confinement or deportation, and that the lower court's block infringed on executive authority. The court allowed deportations to proceed, but said detainees must be allowed to challenge their detention and deportation. Last Friday, the court allowed the administration to freeze millions of dollars in grants meant to address teacher shortages. 8 states sued over the halted grants. The court found that states could recover the funds later if they win the case, but the administration cannot recover spent money, so the freeze should stand for now. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court blocked a lower court's order for the Trump administration to reinstate thousands of federal workers recently fired in a push to shrink the government. A federal judge had ruled that firing workers at 6 federal agencies violated federal law. The workers will remain on paid leave because of a separate lawsuit over the firings.